Good Saturday morning. It is 8 o'clock here on the 21st of September, 2024. Welcome to the open week edition of the Jonathan Crompton Show. This is David along with Chuck and Jonathan, or as Chuck calls him, Coach 8. Open week this week, but a lot of Mountain 7 football happened last night. So, good morning, Chucky. How are you?
I'm good. I stayed up late last night to watch the Washington State San Jose State game go double overtime, 54-52, won by the Wazoo. So
a lot of defense there.
Yeah, it was good defense.
Yeah, and we got an open week, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about, kind of review and all that stuff. But our schedule is really cool this morning. We're going to do the coaches show, and then immediately thereafter, Chuck and I are going to do our Saturday David and Chuck college pregame show, and mixing a little Major League Baseball as we're headed into the final 7 games of the year. And the Orioles finally won, Jonathan. They needed that. And we're going to talk about our great sponsors. One thing I want to do real quick for people is the Mountaineer Youth Football is open today. If you'll see right here, they are open today, and then next week they play Irwin at CE Weatherby. So all the youngsters, they're probably either starting to watch this today or they're in bed because they're kids.
They're in bed.
But the future of the Hill is right there, and please support that program. Support our middle school, because that is they're coming to you, and that's what it's all about. So, anyway, open week. You and I were both under the weather a little bit earlier in the week, and feeling a lot better today. But how was the week of practice? I don't want any schematics. That's not what I'm asking about.
It's a bye-week practice. I mean, good. Had a little weather, but we had a good week. We'll get ready for Franklin starting later today.
Yep. And
I mean, it was a typical bye week. Say it that way. Trying to make sure everybody's healed up.
Yeah, and
did you get that? Did you get people healed up?
Yeah, I mean, as best you can during this part of the season. Everybody's in that same boat. Football is a physical sport, so we did what we thought we needed to do and to get healed and go from there. But it was a good week of practice. Much needed. Bye weeks are necessary evil. Takes you out of rhythm, but obviously you need them. Ours is, I think, pretty well shoved in there.
It's a good spot, I think.
I mean, it's better than week 9 or 10.
Yeah,
say it that way.
So Chuck. Let's kind of go, because we talked about this last night a little bit with you, myself, and Peter, and John Truitt from out on the top of some mountain in Montana. Where I hope he's still alive this morning. He's either froze to death or eaten by a bear.
Well, he texted
hilarious.
Me. And he said he was at such a high elevation that he said, "I'm sorry about the segment. I understand if I'll never come back on." But he said, "I was so cold I couldn't even talk." And I'm like, "No, we loved it."
Oh, it was good. No, it was awesome. But we talked last night, and I know that there's a competitor, and then there's when you're building something, and one of the questions that Chuck and I talked last night about was 6 months ago, if you could have said, okay, we're going to be 3-1 going into the open week and try to get our kids healthy with this relatively young football team and be 3-1 against some pretty darn good competition. I thought, I said, well, he probably would have taken that. but I know there's the competitor, but I also know the reality. And where are you right now with your mindset where you guys are sitting?
No, I mean, I think we're in a good spot. It just, we got the first open for conference. Non-conference is once again a necessary evil. I say that depending on where we go and conference-wise after this season, because apparently we may have 10 teams in a conference. I don't know, but yeah. Well, that's a whole different conversation. No, I think we're in a good spot for where we're at, and it's just a matter of now making sure that we stay focused and play our game. And the bottom line is, our mindset is it doesn't matter who we're playing, play our game, be ourselves, don't beat ourselves, because you know, as a competitor and as a coach, you don't want to, I'm a realist, yes, but I also don't think that, like, I'm trying to be politically correct. And I feel everybody should have this mindset. But if we play our game, we don't think anybody can beat us. But that's you should have that if you're going to play sports or coach sports. You should have that mindset. If you don't, then you're obviously in the wrong business, I guess you'd say. But our kids, I trust them. We talked as coaches last week. We've got their back, but ultimately our kids have our back. It's one of those things that we laugh and joke. If we're in a street fight, I feel okay that our coaches aren't going to get touched because how our kids protect us. So I feel like we're in a good spot when it comes to that, and that's half the battle in football is being able to say that we do have a physical team, we have a fast team, we have a tight knit team that care about each other. That we'll go to war for each other. So I feel like we're in a good spot. It's just a matter of now we just got to go play in conference.
Chuck, before I turn it over to you, what on your Caffeine and Chaos? What cup are you on?
Well, this is the second one. No, hold on. This was my first one.
Nice. And I do want to this morning because we've got a little bit of we've got a little more freedom to talk about some things this morning, and just want to make sure that we take a minute, Jonathan, and thank the people that have been so supportive and make this happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to start with our good friends at Caffeine and Chaos. The blackberry.
I'm calling it a strudel, but I don't know the technical name.
And your mom, it's right here. It's fall, even though it's going to be almost 80 degrees up here today.
It's crazy.
Wow.
Look at that's some of the pumpkin pie milkshake and all the things that you get there, and that's looking good right there. Some Caffeine and Chaos, and our good friends at Sutton and Sons Antique Mall. If you want to buy it, they got it. If you want to sell it, go see them. If you're doing an estate and you need to get your estate taken care of, go see Ryan and his family. If you need a booth, go see them. And if you want something that no one else can ever find for you, they'll find it. I promise you, they'll find it. Such good people. And then today with us, cromptonauto.com, when we leave here, when Chuck and I get off the air, I'll be at the office until this afternoon. And right here is just one of them, but 2016 Chevy Equinox, $10,000 basically. Great miles, great car. It's what they call Frontline. It's a nice ride. CromptonAuto.com. Put your application in, and I'll go deal with it when I get out of here today. We'll take care of you. So we cannot ever thank our sponsors enough for what they do to make us, to provide us the opportunity to do this. And what I'd love to be able to do is do a show from down there at Caffeine and Chaos, but we have to keep you away from all the blackberry and stuff. And your mom's running around in the t-shirt now and the sweatshirt she got yesterday.
Nice.
So and drinking their coffee. And so, thank you, thank you. Please support your local businesses, even if it's not us. Support our local independent businesses because I'm telling you, it's a hell of a lot of hard work. Okay, just to get every day. Because man, during COVID, if it weren't for you, we would have been out of business when your mom and I were on the brink. And so, and you worked your fanny off to keep our family alive. So, anyway, support your local businesses. Chucky, I'm going to turn it over to you and Jonathan for a little bit. I'm just going to kind of sit here and enjoy your conversation that y'all are fixing to have about where we are right now, headed into a tough Friday night coming up.
Yeah, it's been a nice off week, I'm sure, but for the kids, I think that you've been working tirelessly and your staff getting ready for your next opponent. Getting ready for Franklin, I don't think really starts today. It started, Sunday. But did you go scout anybody last night?
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Well, I mean, yeah,
Oh my God!
Here we go.
Well, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Everybody goes. And hell, I'm not a small individual. I mean, you can see me. It's not like I can hide. Yeah, I'm just being honest. Yeah. And I probably wasn't smart because I wore a nice, big, solid orange, bright orange Tennessee hat. So it wasn't like I was hiding. I'm gonna watch a little high school football. Say it that way.
No, good. I'm sure them kids are sitting there thinking, "Look, Coach Heupel's here." Okay, so
No, not. Never mind.
What are the plans for the week? Is it's going to be a normal process that you go through preparing for your first conference game?
Oh yeah. And it'll be status quo. And I saw a thing with I don't know if you know who Dylan Sampson is. He's the running back at Tennessee. I saw this thing yesterday. It was kind of funny because to me, all the good programs do this. Doesn't matter who you're playing. Your routine doesn't change. Your practice schedule doesn't change. Obviously, in college, a bowl game and stuff like that, it would. But regular season, you're going and taking care of your business, preparing your normal way, taking care of your stuff. And that's our mindset. So we'll have a normal Monday practice when we get back to school Monday, and go from there and get through the week. And our JVs they'll get ready because obviously Franklin is a tough opponent. They always will be. And they're always big and strong and can run the football and can run with the out in space. And so yeah, it'll be normal week for us. Get ready to travel over the mountain on Thursday and then be ready to play at Sea Weatherby on Friday.
Jonathan, you talked earlier about having the belief that nobody can beat you going into this. Is that thought process out of your team? The grown-ups that are coaching have that, but is that driven in, or is that just somehow through your coaching methods and the process organically developed within your team?
Well, and that is not anything about any opponent. That's just a mindset you should have as a competitor. I mean, if you're a professional golfer, you know what I'm saying? You should think you have a chance to win every tournament. Obviously, statistically proven, it can't happen, right? I mean, that's just somebody's got to win, somebody's got to lose. So but that is definitely how our mindset is. But ultimately we got to show up and play on Thursdays and Fridays. We can have the best week of practice in the world and then just not show up on game day and not transfer over. But our team does have that same belief. Just because they're a great group of kids, they work their fannies off. They've our team GPA has went up. Like the kids understand, compete at everything you do. Does not matter. If you're always competing, you're always getting better. So that's the mindset. It's always a good thing when you have a teacher walking down the hallway and say, "Hey, coach, so and so has done so great in my class, asking really good questions that he's not asked before. Those things. That's what we preach to our kids: is always compete. Doesn't matter if you're in the classroom, at home, out in the community, whatever you're doing when you go to work, whatever you're doing, if you're competing, you're getting better. So that's what we preach to them. We've been preaching that since day one, and it's instilled in their brain. They break it down every day from the weight room on compete. It's not just a saying to them. I mean, we were asked, or I said we, but I was asked by a couple of players yesterday on or the leadership council that we have, that when we do conditioning after practice, they want to be able to do more competition style conditioning. That it's not just a saying to us. They actually believe that and they live by that, especially when it comes to football. So yeah, I mean, we do think that we can win every game. If you don't, why are you there? You know what I'm saying? And that goes for both sides. That's the beauty of football. We think we can win every game. We got Franklin this week. Hell, they've won every game so far. So they think they can win every game so far. That's the beautiful thing is sometimes those things are going to happen. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to lose. So now we just got to go out there and play our game. And, we just got to take care of our business and let the chips fall where they fall from there.
Johnson, so far, you're into this open week, which is over with. We're going to go into the Franklin week. Has there been any surprises on your football team amongst your players, guys that you knew possibly could be, but all of a sudden exceeded expectations?
Yes and no, meaning I'm trying to think how to say it because I know what I'm wanting to say. Like after the off season we had, the summer we had, you're sitting there going, dang, so-and-so and so-and-so. And then you keep going down the list and you're going, man, we got a lot of good players. Like, I think they're all going to have a great season, all this stuff. And then, but you you never know until you get out there and play.
Right.
But I mean, offensively, we are progressing each week. You never know where you're going to go, right? We lose a lot of skill players last year, new quarterback, couple new linemen. Starting tailback goes down in week one. Like I said, lost about 4 skill players at the receiver-ish position. And so you don't know where your offense system is going to be at a certain point. Like, I know where I want to envision it to go. The good thing is we're ahead of where I envisioned we would be at this point schematically. Because that's the beautiful thing of what we do. Our system can change like that. Like, when I say change, but that's the easiest word. It doesn't change, but it molds. I'm talking about just even middle of a drive. We can be like, hey, we're going to do blah, 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 blah because of this, and this, and it mold. So every year, depending on our personnel, depends on where our system starts at. And so I'm pleased with where we're at the moment. Obviously never satisfied. That's just part of it. That's part of being a coach and wanting the best for your players and best for the school. But yeah, I think to answer your question, honestly, I think that there's it's hard to say everybody, but I honestly think everybody has exceeded the expectation of where I thought we'd be at this point. On offense, defense, special teams, I mean, we're at like a 75% touchback rate on kickoffs. It's pretty darn good for the high school level.
Right.
Now that number, I'm guesstimating that number off the top of my head.
But
I think that's
maybe
pretty close.
A little bit higher than that.
I think that's pretty close on plus or minus 5 to 10%. But I mean, it's pretty darn close of where we're at. Like, well, that didn't happen last year.
Right.
Same kicker. I mean, Christopher Wells has busted his butt to get stronger, like his leg, his hip, everything's stronger, getting faster. and is kicking the piss out of the ball. So it's not just to single him out, but like I'm saying, like everybody has exceeded where I honestly thought we'd be at this moment, and that's a good thing because I had very high expectations.
You mentioned, which was my next question. When did the Thunderfoot, Chris Wells, evolve? Because last year at the end of the year, it was, he wasn't getting it into the end zone, but all of a sudden he comes into his senior year, and all of a sudden it's boom into the end zone. When did this evolve?
Well, what a lot of people don't know is Chris actually starts on our soccer team too. Right, so he's got a lot of fatigue from just running and all that stuff. So we've taken care of him at practice more this year, but he's really busted his butt in the weight room all off season, all summer, and then obviously during this semester to make sure that he maintains. He's going to physical therapy to make sure that his hip is still good. He's doing all the things off the field that you need to do to be a really good, a really, really good performing player. So you got to give him all the credit. I mean, he's done all the work that he needs to do, plus some, to make sure he's ready to go. And then obviously going out there and playing really well on the soccer team. Our soccer team's winning right now, so it's a good time to be around. It really is. And I mean, but watching him kick the ball, especially when it lands, not just it. If the ball just crosses the plane in the end zone, it's a touchback. So if it rolls in, I'm not 100% counting that all the time. I mean, it counts, but watching his ball land in the end zone, that's the impressive part.
What does that mean to a coach, to a fan? David, your dad and I have discussed this, what it means as former players and what we do now. But what does it mean to a coach to have a guy who it's a pretty good chance that he's going to put it in the end zone somewhere and not have it run back? What does that mean to a football coach?
Well, and to be real with you, if you kick it short, the odds that they're going to start around the 35 to 40 are very high. Well, statistically proven, if you start on the 35 or better, you have like a 52% chance of getting points. Well, if you touchback, you start on the 25, that is at minimum one first down less, or one first down more that they got to go. That those numbers drop at least 15 to 20%. So from a coaching perspective, it's massive to help our defense, where they got to go 10, 15, sometimes 18 to 20 extra yards, depending on how good of a return they get. So you don't give them a chance to squeak one out of there. You know what I mean? You don't give them a chance that, one of our guys got blindside blocked and nobody saw it, or our guy tripped and fell, or they just had a phenomenal return on a reverse or something. You take out any variables to where they can get really good starting field position and have a better statistical chance of getting points. So from our standpoint, it's tremendous.
Let me ask you. Go ahead, Chuck. Go ahead. You had one more there.
In your second year into this 2024 season, how's your relationship with the officials?
You don't want to know my answer. I'll say it that way. And y'all are laughing. I'm being serious, because this isn't a game to us. Y'all can laugh all you want, but the reality is there are certain people that graduate from certain high schools that should not be able to referee that game. And I'll just say it happened last night. And there was a big 2 calls missed on that person's sideline, and we weren't even in the game. I don't complain about just our game. I mean, these coaches, these players put way too much into this for it to be put into somebody's hands that it's a hobby. That's just my opinion.
Okay. Good. So I guess let's kind of transition a little bit into this coming Friday night. Need that stadium rocking. Our magnificent band is going to be magnificent. Mm-hmm. Our magnificent cheerleaders are going to be magnificent. Our fans are going to be magnificent. I guess the rest is up to you guys, right?
Cool.
No, but I think it's going to be a great environment. I love the fact that Peter Clay said hello, by the way. And
I hadn't talked to Peter in a while.
I still remember you and him out in his driveway, and you hit that like 60-foot shot, and on the basketball goal, and him, yeah.
Hey,
but that was funny.
Sometimes better be lucky than good.
But and Peter was talking about Friday night is the type of thing in Western North Carolina that's just
it's different.
It's just that's that.
It's different.
It is different. Does that make sense, Chuck? That Friday night, it's going to be because you're playing a really good football team, and it's going to be an old. I call it an old SEC slobber knocker, and they're just going to go out there and it's a test of wills. It's a test of physicality, and home field advantage. I think is going to help a little bit, But anyway, going in,
time will tell.
Yep. But going into it, is this the type of game that you and your staff look forward to? That's a silly question.
Well, no, we look forward to every Friday night. That's what we get paid to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the reality. Game planning is tremendously fun. Watching film is fun. Understanding tendencies is fun. But Friday night is our time to be like, oh, now we get to go do be our kid's self, so to speak. Saturday through Friday at 7:29 that's where the grind happens. Friday night's the fun part. Friday night, you don't just show up at 7:30 and go expect to play. All right. So that's where we get to go. Like I said, we get to let it out and emotionally let our just go and literally be a big kid, understanding of what could I say that meaning of the competitive side. We told how I told middle school kids this before. You ever play football? No. Have you ever thought about it? Well, yeah. Because the bottom line is wrestling is the same way. Football is a physical sport. Wrestling is a physical sport. Now you can do it and not get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? You can. If you have, if you're a teenager and you sometimes have anger issues, those sports are the ones you want to play because, especially like wrestling, you can go out there and you can, I don't know all the maneuvers, but it's legal, within certain parameters, just like with football. So that's the fun part is you get to let it out. Let as a defensive player, let your frustrations out. You're supposed to be able to do that. So, yeah, I mean, every Friday night's going to be from here on out. I mean, there's no easy test. I mean, it's just what it is. You play football. If it's an easy test, then you're in the wrong conference. That's my opinion.
Then we're all in the right conference because I think there's really good football teams in this conference, and I think you agree with me, Chuck, that the teams are this year just overall from 1 to 7 are just really good football teams.
Yeah, this is a little different season than we've had the last 3 or 4 in that, at the top of the conference, the Mountain 7 Conference, you got about 4 teams that can have a say into the championship. And yet the bottom people that, the remaining 3 are still competitive enough they can have some say into the championships. They can reach up and bite somebody in the rear end. This is a better conference, slightly better, but emerging out of it is the team that Tuscola plays on Friday. But again, you mentioned that it was it's the fun. Is Friday night is the fun stuff. Well, you spend all week in the trash talking. The fans are bantering back and forth. And as my dad always said, when we build a car, we take it to the proving grounds to see if we got a good car or a bad car. And he called anything competitive game is on a proving ground. So it's a chance for you to go to the proving ground and prove that you got a better football team. That's what makes it fun on Friday night for me.
No, I agree. I mean, that's, like I said a minute ago, ultimately somebody has to lose. There's no tying in football. You know what I mean? Or at least in my opinion. And that, you give it everything you've got and you go down that road and, the old cliche, you're going to win a class, you're going to lose a class. You're not going to try to make any phone calls after and spread rumors to spread them and all that jazz. And, you win a class, you lose a class. And that's what we're going to do. I mean, yeah, you get excited and celebrate with the team after a win, but you make sure you get back to the locker room, you go do your thing, and you get on your bus if you're on the away game, or technically both for us because we got to travel to home game. So we get on the bus and we go back to the locker room. You know, teenagers are it's a fun time in their life to be around them in the game. It's a fun time to watch them be able to let their emotions out. So after a win, it's not fun after a loss, obviously, but it's one of those that you get to see how much they care. They get how much they care about each other, how much they care about the game, how much they care about the coaching staff with the way they react to that. So, we're always going to go out there and you always give it your best shot, and I don't expect anybody to ever go into a game going, yeah, well, this ain't going to go well, guys. And I don't think any coach would do that. Or at least I don't think so. And so that's what's fun about our conference this year. Like I said last week, anybody can beat anybody at any moment. You got to bring your A game every Friday night to be able to be the last man standing. And everybody got one last night but us, so we're the last one to kind of get into the mix, and for conference play. So we'll see what our team's made of on Friday. I mean, it's going to be. Franklin's never. It doesn't matter if they're 0-50 or 50-0. Franklin's never going to be an easy test. They're going to hit you in the mouth, and you better be ready for it.
Yeah, I totally.
This is what it is.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I've always been a fan of Brooks and that whole family. I love everything about the way that he carries himself, the way that his program carries. It's kind of like you were talking about the culture. And his culture and his standard. And I love the fact that I don't know many people that are as competitive as you, and that's not a joke, and that's serious. I think that Coach Brooks might be right there with you. I love the fact that he's competitive. I love the fact that the look in his eye when they don't win.
Yeah, well, it's never fun when you don't win.
Yeah, and I love, but again, Friday night, man, let's go get them. You know what I mean? And you both are that way, and you guys will shake hands. You'll congratulate each other, whichever comes out, and you got 364 days to get ready to do this thing again with that bunch. Now, headed into Friday, and I've learned through our shows here with you. Not to because you're not going to answer certain things, but one of the things that is managing the load during the week. Have you gotten where you gotten a routine with that? Or are you still trying to figure out how you want to manage the load of the kids? Because back in the day when we played, it was salt tablets and you scrimmaged 3 days a week.
Yeah, no, we managed that, and obviously I'm not going to get into specifics, but that's been managed since week one.
Okay. And that was something that you had probably thought about even all off season.
Yeah, but like I said, I won't get into specifics of any of it, but it's because every place does it different. But I think we have it down at the moment as good as we can. I mean, obviously, you never know. We think we're doing it the right way, but everybody thinks they're doing it their ways right, and there's no wrong way to do it. Essentially, it's just what works best for every team. So,
well, Chuck, while we've got a few minutes, Jonathan, let's kind of switch gears, and since we don't have we're kind of getting. We'll talk about Franklin again this time next week. Hopefully, it's a good conversation, but we're going to have a conversation. But you want to talk a little bit about some of the games today?
I don't even know who's playing today. I was out of Tennessee's game.
Oh, Chuck does.
I don't. I'm not being funny.
Okay. Who won the Syracuse?
Love them. Syracuse got beat by Stanford.
Conference game.
Yeah, it was weird.
Conference game. How about that?
Weird.
Stanford
So weird.
played at Syracuse last night. Has to fly home to Palo Alto, California, and return Wednesday, I believe they will, to Clemson to play Clemson next Saturday. Now I'd like
Welcome
to
to pro football
on that. That's not right.
But, hey, welcome to pro football. I mean, listen, I'm a believer that the kids should be able to get paid. Now, granted, paid for what they're doing is a little different than just jersey revenue or card signings, things like that. But that's a whole different deal. But the way I look at it is, I understand what Dion said. I don't necessarily agree with everything he said to the media about, oh, they're making more news, you're jealous, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's the case. But I also do think that if you're getting paid as a player, you're open to scrutiny. It's just the reality now. That's how my brain works. If you're getting paid, because the legal definition of amateurism is no money involved. When you're getting paid, aka the state of Georgia now, I don't know if y'all heard about that.
I did.
But the state of Georgia can go in there and just be like, hey, Stanford's recruiting you? Cool. Here's you $1 million. Come to Georgia. Cool. You're in high school making that. Then you're open to scrutiny. That's the way of the world. Doesn't mean that people got to go out there and threaten your life. That's not what I'm getting at. But if you're getting paid, you're open to scrutiny. You're also now a professional. So I feel I have zero sympathy for Stanford by going, I got to go from Syracuse to Palo Alto back to Clemson. Well, buddy, half your team's getting paid. You got to man up now. This is the world they wanted. Now they got to live in it.
Let me interject something right here to those words. If you're getting paid, you are open to scrutiny. Mm-hmm. And I've been saying this for years, and it's fallen on deaf ears. Now you know why we put the referees under scrutiny, because they're getting paid.
They are getting paid, and this is at every level. This is umpires. This is referees in basketball, referees in football, right, softball, soccer, whatever sport it may be. And I'm trying to remember who it was, but it was a podcast with an NFL lineman. Can't remember who it was. And he goes, I don't talk to the referees. I won't talk to them anymore. He goes, they want to come say hey to me, blah, blah. He goes, nope, don't want to talk to you. He goes, because the bottom line is, you as a referee are not supposed to have bias, but we're human. Human, correct?
Right.
Well, how many times, and I'm not saying this happens a lot, but how many times in the history of sports has betting happened? Look at, hey, they proved NBA referees were fixing games. So you, as the referee, you have a direct outcome of the game. Direct. Whether you do throw the flag or you don't throw the flag or whatever this situation may be. That is the issue, is there's zero accountability on their end at the professional level with fines or suspensions, those things. So that's just my opinion, where, and I've said this for years, players get fined and suspended for roughing the passers or blindside blocks or targeting, have to sit out the next game, which is a complete BS rule. But what happened to the referee when it was a blatant block in the back or a blatant hold or a blatant not a hold, and you throw the flag and directly outcome that game? That's just my opinion. I'm not looking for an answer, but to me, that's my issue with referees in every sport, at every level. They have a direct outcome of the game with zero consequences. Because like at our level, all we get told is, well, we don't have enough. Well, you still got to make it a little better. You got to do what you got to do. Exactly what you said, Chuck. I mean, if you're getting paid, you are open to scrutiny. It is not a personal attack.
Thank you for saying that.
It is not it is a professional courtesy. We'll call it that way. I get scrutinized, but I'm getting paid to be a football coach. That's life. That's part of life. So, and if I'm like, if hypothetical situation, if a coach or a player is talking to another coach or a player and a referee takes it personal, they throw a flag. That directly outcomes the game. That's not right.
Okay.
So you get uncomfortable with this. But you don't need to, because it doesn't affect you. It affects me, yep. But I'm open and man enough to talk about it, but not in a disrespectful way. If I can look in the mirror and go, that was a really bad play call. Oh my God, that sucked. Or whatever the situation. It's not personal. But when you directly affect the outcome of the game of whatever age player, doesn't matter if it's pee-wee ball to professional ball at every sport, players are open to scrutiny. Why aren't referees? Because if you talk about them at the pro level, you get fined. You get fined for talking about them, but they can talk about you. Double standard.
Right. And that's when you said that, I brought it up not to make David uncomfortable, but the fact is that what we have right now on high school football, the coaches that are getting paid are under scrutiny. The players in the college level that are getting paid fall under scrutiny. Now they're teenagers, and that's the first time they've been held under scrutiny.
Yes.
Sometimes seems like they're being attacked and they don't know how to handle that. So
exactly.
Protects them. But on the high school level, the people that are getting paid, only half of them, the coaches, are coming under scrutiny. When I broadcast the game, was getting paid. Guess who was under scrutiny every time I went to the mic? What I said. People call and say, well, they were scrutinizing what I was saying. So why are not the referees who are getting paid not under scrutiny?
And it's not personal. That's the whole thing. Is it's not. It's just because it's not, or at least I'm going to assume it's not. It may be, but personal when they attack our coaching styles. You never know. It's every individual person, but I guess back to the original deal is that's where I don't really have that sympathy for Stanford or Cal. I don't know Cal's schedule. I don't. About going from East Coast back to West Coast and 2.5 days later going back to the East Coast. I mean, your players are getting paid. Now, granted, and that is not on the players that made the schedule. That's on the commissioners of the conferences that are like, hey, yeah, why don't we take the Atlantic Coast Conference and make it the All Coast Conference?
Right.
Now that's on them because I feel bad for the baseball teams or the volleyball teams or the soccer teams that play that are going to be on the road for 2 weeks sometimes.
Right. And bringing up the Syracuse, we had that show yesterday, and I had mentioned that I thought with Kyle McCord that Syracuse could be possibly the TCU of this year. Run the table on that.
Yeah.
They played so horribly. Well, first of all, I was wrong because the way they played, they dropped 7 passes. McCord threw for 339 yards. He threw 2 interceptions. One was a pick 6, but the kid ran a 15-yard dig route and was looking at the defender on the dig coming across, and McCord put it on the money, on time, and it went right over his head into the defender, and he didn't even know the ball went over his head until the defender caught it and took it and housed it 76 yards, something like that. I mean, to tell you 71 yards, 71 yards. And you're thinking, this is not on McCord. It kind of reminded me of Tennessee a little bit, when Tennessee's defense gave up all this yardage and points and lost the game in the final minutes, and they blamed the quarterback.
Well, quarterback, but I have a different mindset. We're all quarterback. You're going to get all the credit and all the blame. That's just part of it. You got to have thick skin. If you ain't got thick skin, you can't play quarterback. That's just the way I look at it. But I stayed up late. I stayed up late last night and watched Nebraska, Illinois. I'm gonna tell you who looks pretty darn good.
Illinois
looks good. I like them.
Did you like?
Now, granted, I just jinxed them. Sorry.
Chuck didn't say it yet.
They're going,
as soon as he does, then it's a jinx.
No, they're going 4-8. They're going 4-8 now. Sorry, Illinois. My bad. But I did I was impressed by them. They didn't blink every time Nebraska went down and scored. They were like, all right, cool, it's our turn. I was impressed by them a lot. I think their quarterback I think he's a really good game manager as far as what they run. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, I think he can manage the game. It looks like he can audible plays, put them in the right stuff. He moves well. He's the kid that started at Ole Miss in 21.
Yeah.
Altmaier, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah.
And transferred up there. I like them. I mean, they're ranked 22nd or 24th. They'll be in the top 20, I would assume, after that, because they beat either they were 22,
They were
Nebraska was
both, yeah, they were
24.
both ranked.
They were both 22 and 24.
And I'll tell you,
But
because I want to move on to some other games, but I really like that kid at Nebraska.
yes,
I like
you,
the kid. I like his moxie.
Yes, but you last night in overtime, you could tell he was a freshman.
Yes.
Which I'm not hating on, but also he's 19 years old. He was reclassed, all this stuff. So he has less leeway with me at that point because he's 19 versus some of the, like Alabama's got a wide receiver playing at 17.
Yeah.
Like those 2 years are massive difference.
Well,
I do think he's going to be good, but last night he showed his freshman tendencies in overtime. He froze in overtime. You start on the 25, and next thing you know, it's third down from the other 38.
It's 3rd and 45, yeah.
Like,
but NC State at Clemson at noon, and Chuck and I, we're going to have our show when we're done with this morning. If you want to stay longer, you can stay. But NC State and Clemson, and I said last night, and I think you can take the Georgia thing and throw it out. I think Clemson is possibly going to win the ACC.
but you got never mind.
But we'll see today.
No, Clemson's going to beat NC State. NC State's not very good.
Yeah,
and that's not any personal deal because everybody understands my feelings on NC State because of Chuck Amato. There's still a thing there, right? But the ACC as a whole, who's good? And I'm not being rude, honestly. Chuck, I'm asking. This is the question. I want to know who's good and honest in the ACC.
Well, you said good, and there's not too many teams.
Miami,
but Clemson is good.
But so you got Miami and Clemson. But here's the thing about the ACC, and this is where I do have an issue with the playoffs.
Define good for me, buddy.
Well, no, but here's my thing. Here's where my issue with the playoffs comes in, and this pertains to this. I get the top 4 conference winners should, whatever. The Big 12 ain't very good, top to bottom. So the Big 12, who are 6 out of the top 7 teams? One conference. The 2 conferences of SEC and the Big 10. So you're going to have, hypothetically here, but you're going to have the 3rd and 4th, 5th place teams in the Big 10 and the SEC left out, and they're better than the ACC and Big 12 champion because their conferences are not very good. That's my issue, is if we're going to just the top 12, then it needs to be the top 12, which literally would be the Big 10 SEC. I'll just say it that way. But that is not me being a homer. That's the reality of the football they play. Ohio State, Michigan until they prove not. Illinois is coming around. Nebraska's surprising the crap out of people. You know what I'm saying? Iowa's up there. Then the SEC, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, Oklahoma. Well, there's 10 that you go are way better than the Clemsons, the Utahs, the Colorados, the NC States, year in and year out. Clemson, but here, this is my issue. I'm not because I'm saying this because I went to Tennessee. But if you take the Clemson schedule and you give it to the average SEC team, whoever that may be, a blind team, and you take Clemson and play the normal SEC schedule, average SEC team's top 4, Clemson's whatever, because of their schedule. Why do you think they'll never leave the ACC? Because they haven't made. They don't play anybody. So I'm saying what I'm getting at is when you're talking about NC State, Clemson, I don't think Clemson is a good football team. I don't. They used to be. They did. They used to have a lot of first-round talent. Well, that well's dried up 3.5 years ago. I don't think they're very good anymore.
Is that in relation to overall people that can compete for a national championship?
Yeah, but
is that what? Because Chuck asked you what to define what good is. Is good a true top 15 to 20 team? Is that what?
Yeah, I don't think.
I'm
asking. A top 25 team. I don't.
Chuck, do you agree with that?
No, but he makes valid points. It's just I think I look at it from a different perspective, and that is today through this. He was bringing up the polls. the one thing about this, SEC conference, the SEC, is that they're going to all start playing each other.
But that's my point. That's what hurts the SEC and the Big Ten versus the ACC. You go, I've got one decent game all year, blah blah blah. Look, and I know it's hard to compare. I get it, but look what Georgia did to Clemson, and then look what Kentucky did to Georgia. I know I'm not comparing Kentucky to Clemson. That's not my point.
Right.
Georgia's good, but Georgia's not old Georgia. Georgia's not the past 3 years Georgia. We've all seen that this year. They're good, but there's one common denominator in a negative way for Georgia. And it hurts me to say this because I did like this individual. I'm not saying I don't like him. That's not what I'm getting at. But who is the common denominator? And we'll quiz you guys here. From when Georgia first went to the national championship game and got beat by Alabama, okay, as far as coaching, I'm talking about coaching, to winning back-to-back to now. Who is that common denominator coach? Where they went from I'm here to nope.
Bobo?
Mike Bobo. Mike Bobo's proven to be a very below-average play caller. He is. Because they got a crap load of talent everywhere.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at is Georgia's not old Georgia. They're just not.
In the now, Jonathan, and that I think where we're looking at, coming in with in this prism is looking at, okay, we got 12 spots to fill for the postseason, the new 12. And I think everybody's earmarking SEC going to have about 4. I don't see Ohio's the Big Ten having more right now, more than 2, unless somebody rises up. There's 6 spots. And then you got
the group of 5, there's 7.
Right. And then BYU, Oklahoma State, and Utah in the Big 12. Okay, those 3 teams right there could have 1, maybe 2 fill another spot. There's 9.
Don't forget UCF, though.
Exactly. There's another one.
UCF's in the Big 12.
And
they got a chance to win the Big 12.
Is the ACC, I can only pigeonhole 1. They thought coming into the season, Florida State and Clemson. They're going to dominate this. And Florida State and Clemson thought they were going to be in that picture too. That's why it's all this, give us more money type stuff. Well, Florida State has dropped off the map. So really, the ACC may have 1.
Florida State can't even see the map anymore.
Well, true. But if
that's how far they've fallen off the map.
You guys are brutal. You two are so brutal.
Hey,
oh my God.
Telling it like it is. I mean,
it ain't personal. It's just the fact of you paid Memphis $1.5 million to come spank you.
Right. That's a handshake. That's a handshake and go, where do I pick up our $1.2 million?
Yeah. Can I get that on the way to the airport, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And I can have that before the end of the day.
Is that a certified check, right?
Yeah.
But again, like Coach Matthews was just right. I'm going back to the ACC because what about Miami? I think Miami's pretty darn good, boys.
They're the only. To me, they're the only team in the ACC worth it.
That's just what it is.
Good. Because once again, I'm going back to, and I don't like the comparison of games. That's not what I'm doing. I'm looking at how they played in big said game.
Absolutely.
Clemson, big wide-eyed, played like boo-boo against Georgia.
Well, for 3.5 quarters, Jonathan, they hung right there with them. Then it got
but see, you go back and watch the film and watch the schematics and watch the way they executed said plays. It wasn't good.
Are you prepared to have? My question to you is: are you, because in the SEC the gauntlet begins? Okay, let's just be.
And I'm not. I'm with before you say. I'm not trying to advocate SEC. That's not my point.
I'm advocating for the best teams to be in the top 12, and I think the year I've been banging on the SEC is dropping. But why, when we talk about the SEC, you got 4 of the top 5 elite teams, and I'm not including Missouri. Excuse me, I'm not
either.
I am 4 of the 5 that all
Miss is.
Can somebody tell me why we're not talking about Ole Miss?
That's what we just said.
No. Listen, Ole Miss, you better watch out for. Ole Miss is good. Their quarterback's a dude.
Right.
I mean, he is a game changer. Like, just as far as his moxie, his team freaking will rally around him. You've got the best play caller in the damn country, and Lane Kiffin. Just as far as creativity on how he does the same play with a lot of window dressing that you don't know what's coming to throw a 10-yard out.
Right.
Like him, no, Ole Miss. I don't know. I don't know their schedule. I don't know who they play.
Yeah.
No,
But
now they don't play Alabama. They don't play Georgia. They don't play Tennessee.
I thought they
They
played
don't
Georgia.
Texas.
I thought they played Georgia.
No. No, they don't play Georgia. They don't play Alabama. They don't play Texas. They don't play Tennessee. They play the 11 bottom fish or the 10 bottom fish.
And that I guess what we're saying in a roundabout way is,
Uh-oh.
what?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
They play Georgia Southern today.
Win.
Then they got Kentucky at home.
Okay.
Then they're on the road to South Carolina.
Dub.
Now they're on the road at LSU.
Don't matter.
Then they got Oklahoma at home.
That'll be a good one.
Then they got Arkansas.
Yep.
Then they got Georgia at home.
Okay.
Then they got Florida and Mississippi State.
So there's, to me,
Who played
just
Georgia?
looking at the way they're playing, they can't predict injuries. All that. To me, you got Oklahoma and Georgia that you're really worried about. Like, you got to worry every game. But I'm just saying, like, looking at their teams, Ole Miss is just better than everybody they play, but Oklahoma and Georgia.
Okay, you two love Lloyd. You know that he's watching this morning down in New Orleans, and you know Lloyd just threw up his cereal when you two. When
that's just part of it. I'm just saying, like, Ole Miss is just from a schematics team standpoint better than everybody they play, other than Oklahoma and Georgia at this moment. Now, next week it may be different. We don't know. We can't predict injuries. We can't predict any of that stuff. But that's why they're a sleeper. And I get what I was going to say before you said their schedule. In my head is this is where I go. If we're going to have a playoff, right, 12-team playoff, this is the reason why it's not efficiently done, in my opinion. Now you're judging teams off of the SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, and some are stronger schedules than other. I know you're always going to have strength of schedule, but until at this point to do this, it needs to just be split up in an East and West and do Northeast, Southeast, Northwest, Southwest, right? And have your little, like the NFL, have your divisions, and the group of 5 be the wild card as they do in the NFL. So now you go out there and it's a more evenly matched schedule rather than it being the Big 10, the SEC, ACC, Big 12. Because the Big 12 and the ACC schedules are weaker. Now you're going to have Ole Miss, that's not a very strong SEC schedule. It's not.
Welcome to the David and Chuck show now, as we've transitioned into.
But you know what I'm saying.
I was going to say, some reason I was going to say transform.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the issue. Is I'm an Ole Miss supporter because of Lane Kiffin, but it's not a very strong SEC schedule now that you look at it. That helps them.
Let me tell you about Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a very good to a great football team playing a weak schedule. There's nothing you can't. I can foresee a 11-1, 12-0 season. Depending on, I must have missed that. I didn't think they played any, Georgia. But you take Ole Miss, and there's nothing slight, as you said. They are a very good team, as is Georgia, Alabama in that same category. But, there's no gauntlet that they play. It just happened the way it worked out, The thing is that Ole Miss is going to be in the conversation very soon about in the top 5.
I think so.
Next week when you got Georgia going to Alabama, it is what it is.
Well, I think depending on the Tennessee-Oklahoma game today, like if Tennessee wins, now I think Ole Miss instantly gets thrown up there with them in the top 7, top 8 teams, is my opinion. If Oklahoma wins, Oklahoma jumps into the top 10.
I could see that. I think Tennessee is. I hope they annihilate Oklahoma. I've never been a big Bob Stoops fan.
Yeah.
And for various reasons, I hope they can lay 70 or more points on Oklahoma.
Well,
That's a
if Tennessee wins, they'll go from 6 or 7, whatever. They'll be 3. Watch.
Okay, let me kind of
Because are they the only team playing a top 15 team this week?
hold on.
Who?
Tennessee. Like, what other top 15 matchups are there?
Well,
this
you
week?
had one. Well, you didn't have that. Last night was a top 25 matchup. So
Utah and Oklahoma State both undefeated. I know it's Big 12, but again,
No, see, that's I didn't know who that. That'll actually be a pretty good matchup.
yeah, and don't
Right.
you know what? And real quick, because we're going to talk about the Vols and the Sooners here, but don't overlook Utah.
I just can't bank on his health.
But I
excellent.
mean, he's 20. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
When he's
but
healthy, they're good.
was he's 26 years old,
25.
25 or 26, one
Yeah,
of those two.
We joke that he's got a wife, 3 kids, and a mortgage. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
But let's talk Tennessee, Oklahoma, because I know you've got your stuff that you got to do today too.
I got 20 minutes
with your show. No, I mean,
I
I'm
don't
talking
have that
about the TV out of Nashville thing.
Oh yeah.
So Coach Heupel has handled himself this week in a way that I would envision that you would handle yourself. But inside, he has to be going, man, this is big. This is big because the way that it was handled when he was the face of Oklahoma football. A junior college transfer quarterback came in there and took that team to a national championship. Just on his, physically talented, he was not very physically talented as that goes, but his will and his competitiveness and his undying dedication to that program and the way that when he came back and was the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach and the way that it was handled when they dismissed him, to have a press conference and name him out. That'll never leave him. I don't care because I can't, this isn't a forum to talk about other things, but there's things that'll never leave my family. And and I think he's handled himself with class, but inside, man, he's got to be burning deep to go back in that stadium with his kids that are ready to go. What do you? I mean, you two talk to me about not the game itself, but the mindset of the players and protecting their coach and Coach Heupel. What his thought process is probably going back into Soonerville.
Looked at his phone. I'd like to just go inside and tell you about Coach Heupel as I learned the story just recently, which puts Coach Heupel up there as one of the people now I have admiration for. When he got publicly fired along with Jay Norvell, who's the head coach at Colorado State now, only one olive branch was thrown to his way, and that was Utah State. So he left Oklahoma in disgrace, his alma mater, his home, where he was the Heisman runner-up to Chris Winkie.
Should have won the Heisman.
Right.
And won a natty.
He went to Utah State 1 year and the guy that is his offensive coordinator now at Tennessee went with him to Utah State from Oklahoma to Utah State. After 1 year, he had the chance to go back into the SEC, and that was to Missouri. But during that 1 year, he did what Heupel did, and that is he recruited a kid nobody was recruiting out of California. And he is now starting for an NFL team, and that is Jordan Love for Green Bay. Heupel recruited him to Utah State, and then he told his buddy, I got to take this opportunity at Missouri, and he rebuilt his career, which then carried him to Central Florida, a group of 5 team following Scott Frost, which was a hard thing to do, and did well, and then got the Tennessee job. Now look where he's at now. As he's risen Tennessee, I think he's brought Tennessee up a notch or two. That's Coach Heupel. He gets it. But at the same time, he put his pride away and started all over again. We don't see public firings. that right there, just when that happened, I think it was 2014, thinking, oh my gosh, this is crazy. To come out here and go, I'm firing these two guys. That
There's only one worse.
Huh?
Right? I don't know if it's worse, but it's on par. What's his face? Notre Dame, South Carolina. Drawing a blank.
Coach Holtz.
Yeah, firing his son on the radio. His son, Skip Holtz, found out he was fired off the radio show. That's the only one that I can go. And that's his dad. And I'm like, damn, Christmas would have been awkward that year. Like, wow. We're driving into the office and they're going, oh, well, Lou Holtz fires Skip Holtz. And Skip Holtz is going, what? I'm driving in. But, other than that, this might be one of the worst firings is how he did it. And you know what that tells me personally? That tells me Bob was trying to save Bob's job.
Exactly.
That was a, hey, David, if you don't fire Chuck, I'm firing David. Your call. Like that's the way that I could be way off, but that's just the vibe that I get off of it is if you don't fire those two, we're going to have a chit chat about your job. So it was instead of having a little bit of what's called intestinal fortitude, having a little bit of balls about yourself and a little bit of got Wake Forest when I was in high school.
Grow.
Yes. When they went to him and he said, fire me then. He goes, those are families and I've built a relationship with them. Those are my friends. You make me fire them, you firing me. I ain't going to do it. And guess what happened? They didn't fire him. He called their bluff and goes, I'm a bigger man than that. That you got to respect it to me. Right. Now, granted, I have no facts behind that. That's just the way it seems when you watch that video again. It kind of seems like they were going, all right, Bob, you either fire them or we're going to talk about your job. And he's like, all right, F it, let's do this. Like, I don't respect that. I understand it's a business, but that is a thing that you do behind closed doors and have respect for another human being. And so, yes, I want Tennessee to win regardless of alma mater, but I hope they beat the absolute dog piss out of them today so he can stand on that 50-yard line. Even if he does or not, but mentally in his head by going, thank you. Because you know who's going to fight for him? Those 87 making that bus trip from that hotel. I'm going to tell you, those kids would die for him. And you can see it. And I'm not saying this.
Does that not give you goosebumps, man?
I'm not saying it because it's Tennessee. Yeah. I'm saying it because when I went to the game last week, you could see it. Those kids would die for him because of how he treats them. It's not just I didn't know because I hadn't been back. I hadn't been around the program. I'm busy.
Can I let me add something here, and this is where I was going, and then we kind of got off on the subject.
That's my bad.
What Jonathan said is his Tennessee's kids, young men, however you want. I'm 60 kids to me.
Some are grown ass men. I'll say that way. Some are 26.
Tennessee's men will die for Heupel.
Yeah.
The same way that Clemson's kids they'll die for Dabo.
See, yes. I don't believe that.
At the end of the day, what does it matter? You're doing it right. Heupel's doing it right. Dabo's doing it right. There's other places around the country that their coaches, the players regard their coach as something special.
And I agree with that, but the only caveat I will say to that, personally, from a personal opinion, when have you heard excuses out of Heupel? Win, lose, or draw? When have you heard? And being a Tennessee alum, we can joke about this, but when have you heard the brick by brick cliche that old buddy used to say at Tennessee? Players always act like they're bought in because they feel like they have to. There's a feeling amongst the players in a locker room like that you go, I kind of hate my coach. I kind of have to do that. That's the feeling I get out of Clemson. Is there's always a cliche that you go, buddy, you don't get it. You don't get the 22-year-old, 18-year-old. That's just an opinion. But when you watch Heupel, I'm telling you, every kid is going to get up for a game. You're a competitor. So Clemson's players are going to get up for the game. I get it. 100%. They're competitors. They're Division I football players. They're really good freaking football players. Right? But I'm telling you, You watch them closely. Watch how the players interact with them. Watch how the players go and jump on Heupel. Dabo's always complaining. He's not ever hyping his kids up. It's always a complaint to him. There's always something there. Now, am I animated on the sideline? Yeah, but by God, I'm going to war for my kids. I'm not complaining at my kids. I'm trying to fight for them. There's always something off with Dabo because he doesn't have Brent Venables around, by the way, because that dude was the glue holding that thing together. He's arguably now, because Saban's gone, the best defense coordinator in the country. Schematically. Legit. Dude is for real. But that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying with the kids at Tennessee, you watch them, and it's not just Tennessee. There's other coaches.
Yeah, but
They'll
we're
die
talking
for
about
Lane Kiffin.
Yeah, but we're talking about this game. I want to talk about this game.
But that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They will. He knows, hey man, just go out there and do my thing because those 11 they're on the field, those 11 coming off, 11 going on, special teams coming out there, they got my back. And he knows that. I guarantee you there's zero doubt. There's zero doubt in Lane Kiffin about those 11 going out there having his back. There's none. I can tell you, you can watch it. That's what I'm most intrigued about tonight is his hardest job tonight. His hardest job is getting them to control their emotion to not waste it early in his defense. That is the hardest job for Josh Heupel tonight. Whether it should be there or not, you can argue both sides of he should be pissed off, he shouldn't, it's been a decade, blah, 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 blah. We're human.
He is.
No, but that's what I'm saying. But we're human. He's never going to tell his players that.
He doesn't have to.
But I know, but I'm saying this. He's never going to tell them. His hardest job is controlling their emotion early. And the game maxims keep it there for 60 minutes, not 15.
Do you think that he was sort of like a comedian this whole week when the press was banging on the issue and he was just kind of blowing it off and laughing about it? Was that attempt to diffuse the emotional juggernaut that could come out of that locker room to start the game today in Norman, Oklahoma?
No, I think that was the ploy that his locker room saw that goes, all right, SOBs, let's go do it because we're human. We're human. What do we normally do? We deflect. We're human. We cannot help it. You try to deflect the situation. And every kid in that locker room, you always watch your coach's press conference. You do. Whether you want to or not, in some way, shape, or form, especially in today's world of social media, you're going to end up seeing it, right? There's TVs in every 14 feet in those facilities now.
You'll fight like heck.
But I'm saying, so you're going to see it. So to me, just thinking about it, that was a deal by going, my kids understand what I'm doing. It ain't going to be about me. I'm going to try to make this a joke, but you go whoop their ass.
Right.
And that's that message in that locker room, though. It is unspoken. It doesn't have to be said. Because I promise you there's a different feeling watching those kids last week. I know it was Kent State, but watching that sideline pregame. Because you know how easy it is to go, we know we're about to put 90 on this team to not get up for it. You know what I mean? That's part of it. You would have thought they were playing Oklahoma last week, pregame. You would have thought they were playing Oklahoma on the opening drive when Dylan Sampson is a dude at running back. Been saying it for 3 years, best running back in that room. Today's going to be fun to watch because they're going to go out there and defend his name.
Can they win in Oklahoma, men?
Oh, there's no doubt. Oklahoma's the underdog emotionally today.
Yeah, Vegas has elevated it from 7 to, I believe it's 10.
Okay. This is Oklahoma's biggest underdog, like going into since 1978.
But I don't talk to me about odds.
But here's the thing. That tells you everybody's predicting Tennessee to do their thing. Now, granted, you got to go play the game.
You got to play.
But if there's to me, there are 3 coaches in this whole country that if they're in a situation like this, that their team is going to protect that coach at all costs. Heupel, Kiffin, and then you can argue a couple, but to me, it's just going to be one. Brian Day.
If Oklahoma was...
Whoa, did you hear what he just said, number 3?
Brian Day. Those kids will fight. No.
Judge just
Nope.
he's looking for the alcohol
No, but I mean,
at 9:30 in the morning.
From a serious standpoint, am I wrong in that? They'll defend him. They play for him. I'm not an Ohio State guy.
Yeah, I know that.
But I'm just saying, like, they defend that dude at all costs. They would die on that hill for him. Michigan would have for Harbaugh, but he's no longer in college.
Right. So the Chargers are.
But you know what I'm saying? Like
Michigan,
those kids would go to freaking Afghanistan today to defend Harbaugh in Ann Arbor. But he's no longer the coach. That's why he's not on that list.
Right.
Those three to me are the three that the kids go, say something about them. That's why I think Tennessee has the edge today.
All right, break down the game, Chuck, and then make sure you tell Jonathan about the booth in Heupel before we get off today. When you say he's going to look up at the booth, but break down the game and what you see happening.
I think a lot of emotions is going to be on Tennessee, how good they can keep it in check. I don't think when you're on the end of, Oklahoma's like, well, we're going to come out and play. Well, they're not angry. Tennessee's angry for their coach, what has happened to their coach, and so I think that Tennessee's going to hold the emotional edge, whether that plays into their hand or not favorably. I think they will light it up. And I think in watching Oklahoma, I don't see Oklahoma defensively, although Venables is a defensive genius, he's allowing the defense to be called by somebody else. Now,
but he's still got his hand in the pot.
Fingerprints on it. It's his fingerprints on it. But I think Tennessee's going to light it up, and at the end of the game, Heupel's going to run out to the OU and stand up to that corner luxury suite and throw up that middle finger up there at Bob Stoops and say, take that.
Man, apparently it was like somebody last week, I guess. I don't know. But if you want breaking down the game, and hey, facts are facts. If you want to break down the game in that way, watch this. What is Tennessee offensively? Like what style?
I think they're very balanced.
Tempo. High tempo, just
yeah. But I think they're balanced. I think they're physical up front.
Yep, but they're a running football team.
Yeah.
No, but if you look at statistics, you say they're balanced 100%. But if they don't rush for 200 yards, the odds of them winning go down a lot because they're a running football team because we finally have a physical, old school SEC O-line in the new age offense. You know what I'm saying? And we have, for years, we've had a great running back room. We have. Or no, really, really good. Samson is special.
Is he?
I've been saying this since his freshman year.
So I'll pay attention to
that kid. He's a junior, but he's sat behind older guys. And when he's got the ball, you go, whoa, buddy. Every time he touches you, you're like, damn, he can go. And now he's the guy. And he's played really well the first couple weeks. But Tennessee is a run-first team. Why do you think the big plays are there? Because they run the crap out of the football and play action. Oh, by the way, this is the deepest the Tennessee receiver room has been under Heupel as far as playmaker-wise outside of just having one guy. Brew McCoy, love watching that kid play. Now he's sixth-year senior, coming off a bad ankle injury, but played awesome so far this year, can block the piss out of you out wide, and can also, the funny part is he's like 6'4", 228, and can run by you. They've got four guys at receiver that at any moment can take the ball to the house. Then you got Samson. So that's why the big plays are there. So today, to me, if I'm envisioning it the way that I would do it, it is going to be run, play action, deep ball. Run, play action, run, play action. But their run game is not just beat your head against the wall. The reason why they call, like, the offense is actually called the veer and shoot is because it's almost like the run and shoot back in the day, but it's the veer because of the blocking schemes. They literally pretty much run 12 veer out of the gun with RPOs. It's so hard to stop. Like it is, if it's done correctly.
Can I interrupt you guys? One of the funniest people on earth is Peyton and Eli. people.
Yes.
And they
But
were talking about RPOs last week, Chuck.
No, that was fun.
And Peyton goes, man, I am a big fan of the P. I'm a big fan of the P, and I'm a big fan of the R.
Because I didn't like that O.
But that O, I don't like that O part so much, but I like the R and the P. So anyway, it's hilarious.
That's why Tennessee's run game is so hard to stop. Is it literally is like the running 12 beer.
But they're really good up front and they're physical, correct?
Oh yeah. Oh no, they're going to put you on your butt.
Now,
but that's where the big plays come from. So the DBs today for Oklahoma have to, otherwise they'll get ran by. Have to stay. I'm not going to say like deep, but they got to sit at 10. If they don't sit at 10, they will get ran by because Squirrel White can move. Thornton can run. Brew is sneaky fast. So if they don't sit at 10, now we're going to play action. If they sit at 10, now we're going to run the ball and we have numbers in the box. That's why, honestly, that's why Heupel's offense is so hard to stop. But if you execute properly.
Okay, so let me put you two in this. You're Oklahoma. You're going to try to win the football game. What does Oklahoma have to do to win the football game tonight?
Keep the ball in the hands of Tennessee.
They don't have to play ball control, but on defense, and you're going to disagree with this, but tonight you're going to have to live by the sword and die by the sword. They better bring the stuff. If they don't blitz and get pressure and try to get negative yards in the rush game, it's going to be very hard to stop Tennessee because of their high power.
Can the kid wearing your number play? Is he as good as they?
He's cool, calm, and collected.
That's a big deal.
And he's I don't know if he's going to run by you if he gets out. He hadn't shown enough of that, but he's savvy enough in the run game to get you 7 or 8. So and here's the best part: if they start bringing the stuff, now it's quarterback run, and now Sampson or Seldon's blocking. We gain an extra hat in the run game. Now we're going to run for 5 in the QB run game. I'm telling you, it's a hard offense to stop if it's done properly.
But can Venables design a defense and get his kids in a position to be competitive to win the football game tonight?
If there's one coach that can do it, it's Venables. Say that.
I know you've always thought the world of him.
Well, I'm not being funny, and this is not because I'm a Dabo hater. I'm looking at pure, just factual statistics alone. Look under Venables at Clemson and look not under Venables at Clemson. Venables was the glue holding that thing together football-wise. I mean, he was a phenomenal D coordinator, could recruit his butt off. If there's one job he's going to leave for, it was Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Because that's where he was. And defensively, you go, dude, that guy, he's got it. It was him and Saban. Saban's gone, and Kirby.
Yeah.
But it was mainly because Kirby learned under Saban. Venables did not.
Chuck, can Oklahoma defense this version of the Veer? I guess is what I'm going to. Can Oklahoma defend this?
Yeah, any team can. I mean, you gotta have the personnel and everything, but still, is whether I think it can be done.
Is it going to happen?
No. Oklahoma,
I don't think it'll happen either.
Wow.
But once again, if somebody can do it, it is Venables.
Wow. That was very matter of fact by both of you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, you got to deal with, you take facts and then you take what your eyes have seen and you just try to analyze it the best you can, and you're going to be right more than you're wrong. But in this case, I tried to take the hope out of it because, I really like Heupel now. But I look at Tennessee's personnel, having watched them, and I watched Oklahoma one time this year, last week against Tulane and at home, and was not impressed at any phase of their game. Okay. They showed signs or the camera flashed to the sidelines of Oklahoma, and there was some let's just say some coaching conferences, arguments, things that, Venables looking at his coaches going, like, what are we doing? You can't be that way and chase Tennessee. You cannot malfunction on the defensive side because the guy on the other side will exploit it in a hurry. And then you come and make changes. It sounds like the high school coach that we've got on this set, that when you make the changes, he's going to exploit that. And once you get Heupel and Tennessee in your head, they can just roll out their game plan and roll with this thing. I really believe Tennessee wins big in this. I hope, like I said, I hope to hang 70 on them. That's me.
I do too, obviously.
Of course you do.
But here's the way that I look at it from the psychological standpoint of what we were talking about a little bit ago with Heupel and his interviews. Did you watch Venables and the little deals they were doing with him?
No, sir, I have not. I'm trying to eat. People come by a car.
But think about it though, from this standpoint. One is him playing it off and this and this. Then Venables was at Oklahoma
when it happened.
And was recruiting Heupel. Right? The whole story that week was Venables was part of the recruiting staff that didn't want Heupel, and he wanted, what was it, Achilles Smith, I think it was?
Yeah.
And Mike Leach is the only one that wanted Heupel, and blah, blah, blah. And they were trying to spin it in a different direction, trying to make it look like Heupel was this and this, meaning they were on the defensive all week in the media. So the complete opposite spectrum, what do your players see? Your players see how they're not talking about our football game. They want to make this about Josh Heupel. They want to make this about this. Well, why can't we talk about our football team? Why can't we have our story? Blah, 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 blah. Well, my coach hadn't defended me this way. The player, I don't care what anybody, the players see this stuff.
Yeah, the world has changed. Yeah, you can watch it.
The players see this at an instant. It's going to happen. Once again, who would die for their football team or for their coach? And who would go, man, we really like this guy. But damn, we really like the guy. And once again, I will die on this hill. There are 3 guys in college football, in my opinion, keyword opinion, that the team would go, where are we meeting up to fight? Because that's my coach. Oklahoma's not one of them, in my opinion. I love Brent Venables as a coach. I love him as a defensive coordinator. But I do not think at this point in his tenure, now he's still young in his tenure, that team would be like, we're meeting up, we'll go. That's my guy. Let's do this today. Tennessee's players will. So metaphorically, obviously. Ohio State will. Ole Miss will. Because they will. That is their coach. It's not my coach, that's their coach. It's a different viewpoint. So I look at it from the standpoint of the media in Oklahoma was all about trying to swing it and try to sugarcoat and try to make it, try to deflect that situation to make it look like he was Oklahoma's like favorite child. And Heupel's just out here laughing it off like, man, it is what it is, because he knows the 120 dudes in that locker room, they got his back. That right there is why I think Tennessee wins, outside of schematics.
So is the moment going to be too big for the Vols?
No.
Chuck?
No.
They've already played in the Orange Bowl with Heupel. I know it's a different team every year, blah, blah. They've already played in the Orange Bowl. They've won 11 games. They've done those things. Now's the moment if for Tennessee, if you're wanting to be in the playoff and you're wanting to do this, this, and this, and you want to go win a national championship like the baseball team, today's the day to prove that point. This is what it is. Today's the day to prove the point. And it doesn't mean prove a point by winning by 3. You got to prove a point today.
So there's a lot of good games today, but everybody is really pointing towards tonight, correct?
Right.
Who does Wake have today?
Louisiana.
Okay.
That's a team that struggled and then got shellacked last week by Ole Miss. Ole Miss could have put a lot more points on the board, but they didn't. And they need a win.
Yeah, they do.
I
root for Wake.
I bet that was a good conversation at the 50-yard line before the game. And you were probably, matter of fact, you're the only person on earth that probably understood those two talking to each other.
Yeah, but
nobody else but you.
They're both professional. And
they like each other.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. They probably had if I were to guess, they probably had a little laugh about the previous non-professional tenured guy that Kiffin replaced. Probably had a little laugh about that.
But that's
But I'm just,
Yeah.
and listen, you get on, I just call it like it is. And listen, we're all paid to do what we're supposed to do so you can get scrutiny. It is what it is. People are allowed to scrutinize me. That's life.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be like, all right, man, I appreciate you. Go about my day. But the bottom line is that if I were a fly on that wall, I would bet there was some little chuckle about that time of their life
yeah.
because it was an interesting time. I'll say it that way. But I root for both
Come
of
in.
them.
Come over here, John. Pick him up and let everybody say hey to that's
Right.
Milo. Milo and Ben have broken in.
Come on.
Oh, you
no.
better get his brother.
I am. Come on.
So everybody say hey to Milo and Ben.
Come on.
Milo.
They're here. They're here.
They're here. They have
nope.
they have broken
He said
in.
zero.
But Chuck and I will be back with a really good show Tuesday night. Peter, he sent me a text last night, Chuck, and he just said thank you to the two of us. And I said, I don't know why you would do that. And he said, man, thank you. That's awesome what y'all are doing and letting me be a part of. So we're going to be back and have a full show Tuesday night that's going to review this weekend, preview a little bit of Tuscola and Franklin for this coming Friday night, and then we're going to know a whole lot more about the wild card come Tuesday, because Baltimore and Detroit, this is critical. The Baltimore winning last night kind of put them to bed to at least to be one of the top two wild card teams. But Detroit, Seattle, Minnesota are all fighting for one spot. Or is there somebody else in there, Chuck, without me pulling it up?
No, you got National League Mets, Arizona, and Atlanta.
Okay, Jonathan. Thank you, bud.
All right, Jonathan. And the American League, you got Minnesota, Detroit, and Seattle won last night, so they move up one game. So they're tied with Detroit one game back. So Seattle refuses to go, and Boston still thinks they got life. So, there's 4 teams battling for that wild card spot. But losing last night hurt Detroit. They got to regain and win 2 games, the next 2 games in Baltimore, and they're not going. I don't think they're going to see Skubal again. Orioles will miss Skubal, so you're relying on the other guys. They threw Keter Montero last night in relief. They started Holder, and I'm like, oh Lord! And when I saw that, I was like, this is not going to be good tonight, and it wasn't. So it is what it is.
Well, we'll be back Tuesday. Chuck, really good job today. Thank you. You asked a lot of good questions. And sometimes you and I during Jonathan's show, not when it's just you and I, but during Jonathan's show, I get very squirmy because he's not afraid to talk about things that I'm thinking, man, you probably don't need to say. But you ask a lot of great probing questions, and he'll answer them. And something like I said, I'm thinking, damn, dude. But today was just a phenomenal show for an open week. Looking forward to Friday night. I hope Coach Matthews is back from Florida, so I hope he can be at CE Weatherby Stadium. But he's down there with the man, loving on that grandson. So that takes precedent over a football game. But I hope he gets back in time to see it. But give me real quick, give me a minute, 30 seconds on what you're thinking about Friday night. What you think we're going to see Friday night?
Tuscola's going to have to get ready. This is a very physical team, more physical than they were last year. And I think Franklin now puts, because of the situation at Tuscola, is they circle Tuscola and say, that's the game we got to win. And so they're going to come to, Coach Brooks Field and at CE Weatherby Stadium and ready to play. Tuscola's got to match that by being ready, have a good week in practice. And they just, against Franklin, you got to eliminate a lot, if not all, your mistakes. Penalties, mistakes, and all that stuff, you got to play a near perfect game. That's what they're faced with. Why? Because you got 30 of the 43 roster spots are underclassmen Franklin is mature young men coming in there, and they don't like you. They don't like you. So it is
And
going.
isn't that awesome?
Well, yeah, it is.
I mean, I love that.
They're going to smack you. They're going to try, and they will smack us in the face. How we respond is got to be vital to our outcome. They cannot back away from being punched in the mouth. Franklin will throw first punch, not fight, but you know how I mean.
Yeah.
They'll come out physical.
Let me say one thing before we get off here, because we can't do a show, and again, we try not to single anybody out because that's just not fair. But when I say number 4, when I say Cooper ain't backing down from nobody.
No.
Now, by God, Cooper, you are Cooper's. You are like the Cooper Williamson fan club president.
Cooper never. Well, the game I watched, and then the watching on the road through the streaming, he never takes a play off. Never takes a play off. I mean, it's easy to try and be out there. You know, I'll tell you what. Watch Cooper out of court.
I got him started. We'll be here for 20 minutes.
No,
go ahead.
Go to the other side. Cooper doesn't stay on the other side and watch the play. He's sprinting over across the field to try and get to the ball carrier and make a play. I watch little things out of kids or young men. I watch young men play this game, and that speaks volumes to me when Cooper is trying to flee across the field to get to the ball carrier, where 99 out of 100 kids will sit there and watch that play, but stay right where they're at on their side. I mean, that I've seen that several times in watching Cooper play, and that speaks volumes to me. He runs hard. He can catch. Hey, I just like the kid.
Yes, you do, and that's awesome. But anyway, Chuck and I will be back Tuesday night. Peter will be with us. Looking forward to a big show. Great, again, Chuck, great job today. And we always appreciate our sponsors. And before we get off here, let me if I can get to the right screen, because sometimes I'm not very versed at this, but man, Caffeine and Chaos, check that out. You go up there and get anything, but today we're going to highlight their the fall ice cream specials. There you go. You want some of that, Chuck?
Yes, I do.
You want some of that, and then we're going to go right over there to Sutton and Sons Antique Mall, and we're going to go in there. We're going to get our own booth if we want to sell our own stuff, or we're going to go get anything and everything that you can imagine, your imagination wants, that you want, they've got, or they will get. Or if you're ready to do an estate sale, if you're ready to do anything when you're done with probate court, or go see our good friends there. And then I'm on my way to the car lot. I've already got a message that somebody's coming down to see me today. CromptonAuto.com. Fill out the application before you get down there, and we'll make this process faster for you. Go online. My website is now back like it's supposed to be. It is ready to rock, and it's an easy online application, CromptonAuto.com. So, wow. And the Youth League is open today, Chuck.
Very good.
So, anything you need to say? Any family members? Hey, Kevin up in Michigan.
No, he's probably my brother gets up like you. He's crack of dawn, early works like our dad. I mean, our dad was the same way. I mean, he gets to it.
What time did you roll out of bed today?
Well, it was a late night. I had to watch those football games, and I rolled out. The alarm got me up at 7.
God.
And I flew out of bed and took a shower, and then came down and made me coffee and kind of caught my breath. Got a big day ahead of me watching football.
I'm going to go to work. I'm going to watch some football at the office. And by the way, I was downstairs working, getting ready for this show at 3:32.
I'm glad you're in charge, not me.
Coach Matthews, I just saw that you called me. I didn't see that yesterday. I apologize. I'll call you here in a little bit. I'm on my way to the office. Chuck, have the best Saturday ever. And thank you again for the scoreboard. And we'll get that next Friday night for everybody. And Chuck, keep me informed on the games, and we'll check on John Truitt and the Catamounts.
All right.
All right. See you, bud.